forward just because I don't want to broad brush all white liberals as having a white savior complex. I have experienced white liberals who do have that, and they're very unpleasant people. But I don't think every single
Why did they cut to him again? They don't like him. What's good, y'all boys? Welcome back again to another video. Listen, I know it's been like a week, 7 days or something since our last posted video. I've been a bit under the weather, okay? I've been a little sick. And my charger for my laptop was fucked up, so I had to wait for a new one to come. But you know, we back. I'm still a little sick, if you hear my voice or if my just energy is kind of weird, it's because I'm still dealing with it, okay? I thought I'd be gone by now, but listen, a lot of shit been happening this past week that I gotta catch up on and make videos on, where it comes to, like, you know, gender war discourse or politics shit, or Vivek, you know, snapping on these on the mainstream media, you know what I'm saying, with facts and logic. And there's a video that we're gonna watch today. It's from Jubilee. It's called Black Conservatives versus White Liberals, Middle Ground. Came out 1 day ago today, and I feel like it's probably gonna be very funny. Destiny is on it, so guest appearance from Destiny, and yeah, let's get into it. It's 45 minutes long, so let's see how long I end up making this fucking video. Black conservatives versus white liberals. And you know, Jubilee is based in Los Angeles, and so, you know, they do a pretty good job, I guess. They do an okay job of making shit seem fair, but they do have biases, though. They definitely are more left-leaning, you know. And I'm not saying it's the whole company, but they're in Los Angeles, so definitely a good amount of them is probably leaning that way.
White Americans have way more advantages than black Americans.
Oh my gosh, look how Destiny stands, bruh. That boy bad built. Sorry, Destiny. What is it? Okay, white Americans have way more advantages than black Americans.
It would seem so.
Do white Americans have more advantages because they're white, or do just white Americans have advantages because of historic factors? I think that people want to argue at the end of the day over whether it's because you're white or not. I think that the answer is because you're white in the past, and that's how it kind of carries over to today. You know, even in times of the United States history where black people tried to build wealth, you know, with the Tulsa riots and everything, where, yeah, this wealth has been destroyed. And something that's upsetting to me is when conservatives talk about...
White Americans have way more advantages than black Americans. Do I agree with that? I agree with that, yes. But not in every case, not in every scenario. Like, what some liberals will try to make it seem like is that a black person can't make it out no matter what. And it makes it sound like every white person is able to do whatever they want, like, no matter what. Like, there's no obstacles. That's the thing. They lack the nuance in the conversation. There are some black people who don't have any obstacles, right? Their family wasn't held back. You know, their family wasn't you know, their family wasn't not allowed to, like, get home loans or get bank loans or start a business. But at the same time, there's a lot of black people who their parents or their parents' parents weren't able to get a home, for example, in a nice area, a nice neighborhood. They weren't able to get a job, a decent paying job. They weren't able to, you know, have a quality life and set up their future generations for success, right? Compared to a lot of white people, where they just had to live a regular life. You know, you go to work, go to school, you know, get a job, you get a house. There's no one that's holding you back just because you're, you know, you're deemed as an undesirable, right? And that's a fact. You know, a lot of right-leaning people, especially a lot of red people too, they like to act like that doesn't exist, that nothing holds you back at all. There are some things that hold you back. Now, you just have to, you know, do your best. You know, that's all you can do, really. Try to avoid certain shit. I think there are different rules for different people. But historically, black people have been targeted, bro, from many different levels, whether it be like a grassroots level, right, like the KKK or something, or even the KKK isn't just grassroots, because there are people that are racist that are in higher positions of power, right? Or to, like, you know, the CIA or the FBI themselves wanting to spy on black people, like Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, plotting on assassinations, you know what I'm saying? Wanting to avoid another black messiah is what their word. That's why they killed Fred Hampton. So anyone who says black people haven't been treated differently than white people, they're lying or they're dumb. But yeah, I think overall, I don't know. I think nowadays there's more opportunity But people's mindsets, a lot of black people's mindsets are already just fucked up. So it's hard for them to even see the opportunity. And it's tough, you know. I think the main problem is people trying to figure out how to solve some of these inequalities. Like if you look at a lot of schools in areas like Baltimore, you know what I'm saying, even Miami, if you look at the testing scores and the grades of the black kids, they're on average they're not good, bro. They're not good. They're not reading on a good level. You know what I'm saying? It's tough. Let's keep going.
How that's
well, not even a minute in.
What's happening in the present. That is true to some extent, but then the next breath they'll talk about how important it is to have dual parent households, how important it is to have a strong family, to have responsibility passed on from parent to child. And we've seen in the past that because of racial issues, that process has been severely disrupted.
The funny thing is that agreeing with all these things is when I did my research when I was younger, which arrived me to my standpoint of being a conservative, because I believed it was racist, Democrat, liberal ideologies and policies dating all the way back to the 1800s, all the way up to the 1960s, and then the purported big switch. But I think it was more so when Democrats decided to be a bit more cloak and dagger about their true opinions of black people and be more...
Oh, hey! Oh my gosh. He has a Hunter Biden hat and a one-piece shirt on. Oh my gosh.
More secretive and more, oh, we want to help you by, doing these things and seeing them as inferior.
Doing what things?
Affirmative action, welfare, all sorts of things that eventually ruin our culture and place us where we are now.
So
but I want to get back to the history of it, because we're talking about...
Well, I just want to make sure we're clear. Giving them money hurt them, right? Is that what you're saying?
Well, yes, giving them, because if your father's out of the home, that's when we give you the money. If you're living in this housing,
so then give them the money while the dad's
rent-free.
Well, then give them the money while the dad's in the home.
If you're working this amount of hours and getting less than this amount of dollars, you're getting money from the government. Yes, it is incentivizing.
You're throwing the baby out with the bathwater.
I don't even know what that means in this scenario, because yes,
you're
okay. You want to talk about throwing babies out with the bathwater?
Hey, I fought with the dude Chandler, boy. His name Chandler. Oh yeah, I fuck with him. I fuck with him.
Even know what that means in this scenario, because yes,
you're
okay. You want to talk about throwing babies out with the bathwater? Margaret
for
Sanger wanted to exterminate the black race because she
shit. He's talking about abortion now. Oh shit.
Thought they were weeds. So yeah, we can literally talk about throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's what Margaret Sanger, that's what Democrat policies wanted to do to my people. So that's why I feel so strongly about it, because it is these policies that date back centuries that were built off of the death and poverty of my people.
Let's take a breath.
Sure. I'm breathing.
Okay.
A lot of babies aren't, but I am.
I don't know what that means. When I say throw the baby out with the bathwater, we want to completely get rid of welfare, okay? Or at least the I don't want to put that on you, you haven't said that, but the conservative apparatus does, clearly. So giving money to a group of people does not hurt them.
I mean, sure, if you're talking about a lottery, just hey, take money. But there's...
I don't agree with that. Listen, if... It helps. It does help people. Welfare does help people. That's facts. And it's not just black people that benefit off of it. It's white people too. Matter of fact, I think I saw something. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think it said like white women get welfare the most. But maybe that wasn't true. I'm not sure. Because I remember I looked it up before, but then I saw something else that contradicted it. So I'm not sure. So I'm not even going to say that like a fact. But yeah, people do benefit off of welfare, right? It's a helping hand, right? Makes sense. Especially based off the fact that, the cost of living is going up, and wages are stagnating, and that's a real thing that affects everybody. However, when they implemented welfare and Section 8 and project housing back in like the 60s, I think it was, 60s or 70s, they incentivized the women to not have the fathers in the home, bruh. So combine that with the war on drugs and mass incarceration, where a lot of dudes ended up, selling drugs and doing things in the street for whether it be extra money or for other reasons, because there are other reasons that people do that shit. It's not just for money, because they're starving or something. It's not just for that. And then boom, they get locked up or they die. You know what I'm saying? Leaving the and I blame that. It's so interesting talking about this, because there's a level of external factors of people playing, with their puppet strings, manipulating people's behavior, but at the same time, there's a level of personal responsibility, because even if somebody's trying to manipulate you and you don't realize it, you still have the choice to make. You know what I mean? You know what's right and what's wrong. So that's where it gets complicated, because either some people want to completely ignore the external factors and other people and write them off as like conspiracy theories, and other people want to ignore the personal responsibility aspect. You made a choice, the choices that you make, And the choices you make have consequences. But yeah, there are definitely people that use the welfare and they just live off of welfare and never try. That's the thing. It's like, what's the incentive for people to try if they're just gonna get free money anyway, or handouts or whatever? And I'm sure you've seen a lot. I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I've seen a lot where like you riding through the hood and you ride past some homes that don't even have driveways, but they got scat packs, Hellcats, in nice ass cars in the yard. You know what I'm saying? But look at the house. Look where they're living. It's tough. Part of it is like I'm about to go on a rant. Let's keep going.
Take
Strings
money.
attached to that money.
Take all the
There
money.
are strings attached
Give
to
them
that money.
millions. Make them all millionaires. I don't care. Giving money to black people does not hurt them.
And that has
thinking
not
that-
happened though.
This guy's retarded. If you give millions of dollars, and that's the thing with reparations too, which is a tough crack to nut. Whoa, I'm sick. A tough nut to crack. You ever seen a Dave Chappelle skit on reparations? If you give a bunch of impoverished people, economically and mentally, right? Mentally impoverished, millions of dollars, what do you think is going to, first of all, what do you think is going to do to the economy? In my little understanding of the economy, I don't think that's going to be a good thing for it. And two, what do you think they're going to do with the money? Are they going to be able to elevate, or are they just going to, continue to do fuck shit? You know what I'm saying? And just have more access to do degenerate shit that they want to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, bro, motherfuckers going to blow that shit. You ever seen how people who win the lottery and they blow it quickly? That's what's going to happen. You know what I mean? That's why the people who have money, they have money because they know how to continue to make money. Okay? Or they're in a CEO in a high position. So it's like, you're just going to give millions of dollars to somebody that, let's say, is working at Publix or something. What are you going to do? You know? A lot of people is not going to work no more, so you're taking a bunch of people out the workforce. This is a funny thing to brainstorm. I don't know. And it's not that I'm against reparations. It's just that I don't think that it should really go to people, bruh, because they gonna fuck it up. But then who's gonna be in charge of it, right? To make sure it goes to the right places. It's corruption, bruh. There's always corruption.
That has not happened.
What do you mean?
That has not happened. It hasn't been a
You're
reparations.
saying
It hasn't been this
so
or that.
what
It has
you're
been a
saying
welfare program,
welfare
Great
was
Societies
designed.
Act that
Welfare
was built
was-
off of the idea of, hey, we get these families split up, we get these
So
people
then let
living
them
here.
keep the family together and keep all the money.
I mean,
There you go.
I guess
Boom,
so,
done.
but I guarantee you,
I guess
there's
so.
no way that
Why would you
happen.
not advocate for that?
So in your, I guess, research of like
They definitely cut that out. Cut more out of there.
history of this country and everything, do you find like the Reconstruction era and like the failures of like what it wanted to be and then what it ended up being, and then
Hold on.
which led
He has a one-piece shirt on too? Yo. Why are the white liberals wearing one-piece shirts? Oh my gosh.
into which had downstream effects to enter into the Jim Crow era, and you have policies like redlining that influence how schools are funded. The downstream effects of slavery, do you think put black people as generally in a worse off position than white Americans?
I think generation by generation, the effects of slavery have been diluted, but generation by generation, the effects of racism, welfare-based policies, and things of that nature became even more great. So in the 1880s or so, when we had our first black members of Congress, which were indeed Republicans, I think that was a great start for things. But obviously, we had terrible things that happened, like the Tulsa massacre, among black people being
Among
chased out of
others.
their homes by the KKK.
Sure.
All funded by the Democrat Party. All
Yeah, and some of them, it wasn't even KKK that chased them out. Some would be regular people, bro. Like, if you know some black people, right? Some black Americans, FBAs, Foundational Black Americans, right? They will tell you stories. Like, their parents, grandparents will tell you stories about shit that they've experienced. I remember somebody talking about how, like, sometimes white people, will just walk in their crib and dig in their food, bro. Go in their fridge, take shit out their fridge, and just walk out. Can't do shit. There's a story that Chris Rock told that his mom told him was how she couldn't even go to the hospital. She had to go to a vet to go get, for her dentist, I think it was. She had to go to a vet, not a doctor, because no blacks allowed. This shit is real, that's shit that happened, that's real, and there are downstream effects of that. To deny it is dumb. And even if you go back and look at my videos, I never denied that. I talk about black issues in length. And I have some more stuff to talk about too coming up.
supported by the Democrat
Okay,
Party.
well, I mean, I need to stop you there. Can you attribute not to the party but to the ideology? Because I think when you think regardless of whatever the party switch was, traditionally conservative values did not, like, that's more aligned with, more racist policies in this country.
It's very difficult to compare 2020's conservatism to 1880s conservatism.
Facts.
Oh, I was loving the 1v4.
So personally, I feel like there's really only one thing that white people have a true advantage over black people with, and it's that white people are less likely to be forced into a box. It happens with black people onto other black people, but it especially happens with white liberals onto black conservatives, where we are told that we are supposed to think a certain way, be a certain way, and if we're not, then we're called all the.
If you can't be you what did the lady say? Ayana, whatever. We don't want any black faces that aren't gonna be a black voice.
These names like etc. And the worst of all is bootlicker, because I hate when a white liberal tells me as a black man that I'm a bootlicker, because then I ask, whose boot am I licking? Because you're telling me as a white person that me as a black person that I'm licking your boot because I don't think in this box that you want me to frame my mentality in. That to me is real racism, and that's what we need to.
Is that guy gay?
Stop allowing to happen to us, because black people are so quick now to not branch out and to have new ways of thinking, or to go into careers like agriculture and these other career paths that black people don't typically get into. It's not because of racism stopping them from getting in there. It's because we're told for so long that you have to follow this path and you have to think a certain way.
That's what I mean by mentally, bro. Mentally enslaved. I think a lot of black people are mentally in shackles still, okay? Break every chain, please. Break every chain. Break every chain. Break every chain. You feel me, bro? I want black people to free themselves from the shackles of that one linear track mind, okay? Linear thinking, okay? Think in multiple different directions, okay? It's very sad.
I think America is a great place for a black person. I think I'm an American. Anything
interesting. An older black lady, black conservative.
It's available to you is available to me and mine.
I've personally never experienced white people having way more privileges.
I think she was on a show before, that light-skinned girl.
Than me. Like, I'm sure you could find certain institutions where black people are treated differently, but in general, I don't think that I've missed out on anything because of being black. And if anything, it's given me more of a voice because people will want to hear what I say now because I'm black. So if anything, I have more.
That's another thing too. I guess maybe it depends on where you go, because you see how a lot of these Democrats and white liberals act. You know, they will try to put you on a pedestal because you're black, right? Or they'll be like, oh, you know, he knows what he's talking about. Yeah, da da da. And on the other side, there are people who don't really value what you say. They just see that you're a black person. You're talking. They're just going, oh yes, black. You're black. Yes, yes, yes. But they're not really listening. You know, they didn't resonate with you because of what you said. It's just because you're black. You know what I'm saying?
Of a platform now just on the basis of being a black conservative and saying what's not popular.
Compared to how much they badmouth white people now, right? They badmouth white people, random white people that didn't do nothing. They badmouth them all the time, and it's like it's like it. I think in Hollywood too, we kind of moved past it a little bit, not all the way, but like there was a time where they would try to refrain from showing non-white people in like a bad light, or non-men in a bad light, you know, and they still do it a little bit. Especially when, like, with female characters, they don't want to make female characters look bad or evil. You know what I'm saying? It's weird shit, bro. It's weird. But it's just people with agendas are trying to push that out. That's what it is.
Than I would if I was just a white person who was also conservative.
I agree with the Supreme Court's decision to end affirmative action.
Middle ground community results. Yo, I don't know why they put middle ground community results. All y'all motherfuckers are liberals, okay? Their audience is liberal motherfuckers from Los Angeles. People that relate to that.
I think I'm not gonna start. Someone else can start. Sorry.
I think affirmative action has served its purpose.
I'm a white girl. I don't want to start first.
I think that it was necessary for a particular time, and I think that every black person knows how to get into college. I mean, you can pull out the names, the Oprah, President Obama. You can pull out the head of Time Warner was black man, the Forbes was black man. We know what to do now. We don't need affirmative action anymore. And to me, affirmative action is offensive sometimes, especially nowadays, because I have 6 children and 2 boys, 4 girls. And all of them went to Harvard and Columbia and this one and that one. And it breaks my heart to think that they accomplished that goal of getting into these institutions just because of the color of their skin.
I can definitely say that it creates a lot of tension when you have affirmative action. I remember my first week at the University of Illinois, I was sitting with some classmates and a white student turned to me and jokingly like, hey Xavier, like, did you just attach a smiley face when you applied for this college? And I started asking what he meant, and he said to me that he was like, you're black, I'm assuming you had decent grades, you could have just attached a smiley face and you would have gotten into the university. So I was livid by that, and I went off, I started naming all of my accomplishments, and I felt so confident only for about an hour, because then an hour later I started saying to myself like, wow, like, did I actually earn my way in here? I started to have this insecurity, and I started wondering to myself, did I earn this position myself, or did my ancestors' suffering earn this for me?
And too, I've seen it in the sense of like affirmative action taking away from other people who are minorities. Like I had a friend who was Asian and he in high school and he really wanted to go to MIT. That was his dream school. He interned there. He was super like prepared to go there and he didn't get in. And you can only assume that it was because of affirmative action because they have such a large Asian population that they want to admit other people.
Yeah, I was going to actually argue that it's more racist nowadays because it excludes so many Asian Americans from getting into university.
Isn't it funny how that shit go? They spitting right now. They spit right now. To be honest, I'm surprised Jubilee put this out. I feel like they're not gonna change something in people's minds though. But yeah, bruh, in an effort to be non-racist, they still end up being racist. You know what I'm saying? And not just against white people, Asians too. It's like, bro, let it be a competition of merits, okay? Who can get into these schools are the people that are best able to get in. I know there are people that get in because of nepotism or because of what is it, legacy admissions, right? Do I agree with that? I mean, I feel like that's only a small percentage of people, but I don't know the stats. But hey, you know, yeah, get rid of that. Get rid of legacy admissions, okay? Just because your dad was here does not mean you get to come in easy, okay? You still got to perform. Let everybody be fair and equal.
You deserve a spot, and they can't get in because of affirmative action, which, again, like you were saying, was necessary at the time. Yeah. But now it's like anybody, if you have the skills to do it and you're in America, you can get in.
I don't think affirmative action is the worst thing, considering all the different types or aspects of a background you might take into account when somebody's getting into college, whether they were in certain clubs, you know, Boy Scouts, what type of classes they took, that might not be available to everybody. I don't think that factoring in the affirmative action is necessarily a bad thing, but I feel like because of everything you guys have said, the optics behind it are so horrible today that even if it is slightly beneficial in the long run for certain people, I think we can probably refocus most of that into figuring out like the class that people come from, the neighborhoods, the backgrounds or whatever, without it having to necessarily target race. The only thing that I kind of wonder now that it's gone is instead of a black person being in school thinking like, man, am I here because I'm an affirmative action pick, is it going to be a kid that is poor or a kid that's from a different zip code?
I think we should do away with all of it. Just like submit an application, no demographics. Why do they ask your sexuality? Like, why do they ask all that stuff?
Okay, let's see what these two soul boys say, okay? With a fucking one-piece shirt, okay? Take that one-piece shirt off. I'm just playing. They didn't do nothing to make me mad. I don't like that one with the hat, though.
So, if affirmative action accomplished its purpose, why do we still see the disparities that we do in the professional workplace? If you average white wealth and compare it to black wealth totals, white people as a whole have about 50 times greater wealth than black people as a whole per capita. So I just don't understand why you think affirmative action has accomplished its purpose. I don't see
that. Curious. Why do you assume that just because there is a disparity means it's because of a racial issue?
What else would it be from?
I mean,
upbringing, economic abilities,
desire
skills.
to go, desire to...
I mean, zip code does play a lot. If you grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma, you're not as likely to do as well in school, which means you're...
Why did they grow up in a neighborhood that experiences a lot of trauma?
I mean, lots of people do.
Yes, but why specifically do more black people?
Government assistance programs.
Government assistance programs? Like, what?
Try redlining.
I mean, you can go into that if you'd like to, but let's take a look at the Great Societies Act, which...
They're right, though, because of racist history. That's facts. It's because of race. It's because of racial history. That's why. That's why, bro.
Was created to kick black fathers out of the home and get black mothers on welfare assistance. These things aren't beneficial for economics. These things aren't beneficial for actually paving a way for success for black children and black families. I mean, reducing a 2-family household to a 1-family household isn't going to make them the richest man in the world. It isn't even going to get them out of high school. Nonetheless, the ability to even get to college.
You mean two-parent?
The child, yes, but a 2-parent household in comparison to a 1-parent household, that child is not going to be nearly as successful. That child is more disposed to being sent into prison by doing crimes or not doing very well in school.
That's true.
So how are they even supposed to get that, that wealth disparity shrunk if they aren't even able to get out of the community that is causing
I'm a vax rebel? Jesus Christ.
these problems for them?
Something I think that this conversation illustrates is that affirmative action is literally the very end of the line of a lot of different parts of a person's life. And by that point, trying to rectify all of the inequities that have existed, to try to remedy any of that.
I think I said that in my other video. They're trying to put a Band-Aid on the problem way after the problem already happened, okay? If you want to fix the problem for real, you have to focus on trying to fix it at the root. At the beginning. At the start line, not the finish line.
Very end with affirmative action, it might just be too broad a brush, and maybe we'd be better served focusing on the earlier issues than trying to throw a kid who maybe can barely read at a 6th grade level into a college to hope that that's the thing that fixes the problem at the end of the line.
I think affirmative action wasn't really supposed to send kids to Harvard that weren't prepared to go to Harvard. I think that's quite a myth, in fact. I think those that have the qualities to get to Harvard were, before affirmative action, could just completely overlooked. Clarence Thomas is the perfect example, regardless of what you think about him. He was able to get to Harvard because of affirmative action, because, it focused on finding people that were, just overlooked.
But things ended up changing. It morphed into something else. So what started out as a good program of giving all black people or people with a lesser chance or lesser opportunity, it started out as that, and then it morphed and I'm not sure who morphed it, but it morphed into, okay, so now we have to have one black, one Hispanic, one this, one that.
That's not how that works.
But hey, talk to the corporations, talk to the people who hire, talk to the board members who say we need to have a woman on the board, we need to have a black on the board, we need to have a Latina, a Latinx, whatever on the board. So it morphed from helping us into now
tokenization.
Yes. So you have to have one of this, one of that.
Diversity hire.
Well, when you start with a country where people only hire you if you're white, that's necessary. And I know that you said that it started good and then ended whatever. And I don't think that affirmative action was perfect by any measure, but we still see really, really bad inequality. So if you're going to get rid of affirmative action, what's the replacement?
Meritocracy.
There's no meritocracy in this country. You look at Elon Musk, he's destroying Twitter. There's no meritocracy. That's ridiculous.
Well, first thing I want to bounce.
They always say that. This person, that guy definitely watches Hassan. He definitely watches Hassan or Vosh. Okay, I don't know if y'all know who Vosh is. I don't think I ever really. He hasn't featured in any videos, but he's a weirdo. Okay, a weirdo lefty motherfucker that's online as a streamer on YouTube.
Back to is it's not a myth that there are minorities that are being put into colleges that they're not ready for. If you look at a lot of these top universities, including Harvard, Yale, etc., you're going to see a lot of minorities on academic probation because they are being placed in universities that they are not ready for. They are not cut out for that just yet. And it even just makes sense if you look at how much they have to achieve in order to get there. Asian students on average have to score 450 points higher than a black student in order to get in the same university.
A student who self-identifies as Asian. What? Okay. Why did they put self-identifies? A student who is Asian will need 140 SRT points higher than whites, 320 higher than Hispanics, and 450 higher than African Americans. That's what 2009.
So if you average have to score 450 points higher than a black student in order to get in the same university. So if you think of the universities that have courses, etc., that grade on a curve, you can only have so many people with an A, so many people with a B, etc. So that means that the bottom percentile is going to fail. Who is most likely, just based on logic, going to be the ones failing? It's going to be the people who didn't have the credentials to get there in the first place. And then I have to bounce back to.
I want to get you on that point, because I would posit that the people who are least likely to have good outcomes in an academic setting are those who have to work 2 jobs, are those who have to drive there from home because they can't afford a dorm, are those who have to go into crippling financial debt. These are and have other stresses in their life. They can't afford a doctor, they can't afford a dentist, they can't afford anything.
I had to do
so
that too, though.
Those are the
That's
people.
not just black people. It's not just.
But it's
If we're looking at
overwhelmingly.
straight numbers, there are more white people in poverty than black people.
If you look at the raw numbers, but if
We're looking at
overwhelmingly,
straight numbers, there are more white people in poverty than black people.
I think the rebuttal to what he just said would be, oh, well, look at the total amount of black people and look at the total amount of white people. So it's disproportionate. Because that's how you're supposed to look at stats, right? That's how you're supposed to look at stats. Just because, let's say, you can't compare, let's say, a group of 100 and then 50% of them is sick, because I'm sick, and a group of 50 and then 50% of them is sick. Which percentage is higher? Even though they're both 50%. The group of white people. I mean, the group of black people, because it's a smaller number in total. So I think that's what he's about to say, maybe.
If you look at the raw numbers, but if you
I don't know,
actually
what are the
understand what
wrong
you're talking
numbers?
about.
No
The
number
issue is
is
poverty
wrong.
in general, though. I don't think it's like who's in poverty. It's like poverty sucks. It
Maybe we
shouldn't
should make
matter
college
who's in it.
free, and maybe we want to have
If you have a
affirmative action
program-
wouldn't be that necessary.
It'll get even more ghetto.
If you have a program that says if you are under a certain income level, this is how we'll help you, that will overwhelmingly help black people at a far greater percentage than it will help white people.
Trump supports
Trump
black lives.
supports Black lives.
83% no. Oh, Destiny and step forward. Okay. Do I think Trump supports black lives? I think Trump. I mean, I don't know. I'd have to dig into his economics and shit like that. Because the thing with, I think with a lot of like more Republican type politicians, they try to do things without talking about race or focusing on race, because there's already a stigma that that's what Democrats do, and they want to be the opposite of Democrats, so they're not going to talk about it. They're just frame anything as for all Americans, which in and of itself is not necessarily wrong, because something that benefits all Americans includes black people. But again, black people have had a different circumstance in America. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like, just like when Kamala Harris was like, I'm not gonna do that for black people. Well, if I do something for all Americans, it's gonna benefit all Americans. Why don't I do something specifically for black people? It's like, come on. But does he support Trump? Does Trump support black lives? I don't know. If you look, there's a video where I seen people asking black people on the street, and they're like, yeah, there's more money. Yeah, I fuck with Trump. Yeah, he free Kodak. Oh, whoa, he sat down? What?
I think that President Trump supports
You saw how he scooted back, bruh.
all lives. I think that he looks at all American citizens as equal. I don't see him doing anything that would make you feel like he does not support Black lives. That's of course going to lead into the conversation of Black Lives Matter, which was a movement and an organization with so much corruption. Donald Trump not supporting that organization doesn't mean that he doesn't support Black lives. It just means that he doesn't support the fraudulent organization that's stealing so much money from so many people to do absolutely nothing with it, nor does he support a destructive movement that is destroying cities, communities, lives, etc. So I don't see why someone would think that President Trump doesn't support Black lives.
I've heard him say he knows all the best black people. He has all the best black friends. I do support black people all the time. So sorry, that was a very bad impression.
Yeah, that's terrible.
I don't think Donald Trump wants bad things to happen to black people. So in that respect, I think he does support Black lives. But the other side of that is he's not really doing anything. He didn't do anything as president, certainly, to uplift black people.
The economy affects black people.
Yeah, I certainly disagree with that point. One of the biggest things I
What does he do for the
supported
economy?
personally. Well, yeah, we don't. We'll get into that one later. One of the biggest things he did is he secured permanent funding for HBCUs. One of the largest increases we ever saw for HBCUs, personally done by his administration, among many other things. The First Step Act.
And I remember I looked that up too, and the articles I saw, they tried to downplay it. They tried to make it seem like, oh, it wasn't that much greater than what Obama did, but it was more than what Obama put in. So it's like, why are you trying to downplay that?
There's a lot of debate about whether it was really the best thing to do, but that was definitely a kiss of love to the black race. Freeing Alice Johnson for menial drug crimes she committed in the past that had her locked up. She did not get to see her family for years.
Yeah, but that's not like, okay, I did say I agree, but I agree in the sense that Donald Trump doesn't literally want bad things to happen to black people, like I think a lot of conservatives do. So I think that he just says the most yeah, I do think that. I think he says the things that will get him elected. So I don't think that he has any personal grudges against most people. He just says the most.
So he thinks a lot of conservatives want bad things to happen to black people. Okay.
Popular thing. So I think like Ron DeSantis would be, Ron DeSantis would be somebody that I think actually wants black people to be hurt. So by that,
what the fuck? I'm tired of people saying that shit. And that's not like I'm a big DeSantis person, but I seen somebody say that on Instagram the other day because there was like this very suspicious neo-Nazi white supremacist like rally or something. They're just outside in Orlando. They're in Altamont and they're in front of Disney World. And then they all had masks on, and they're all saying stuff. They're calling people the N-word. They had like anti-Jewish like pictures and stuff and posters. Everyone was masked up except for one dude who turns out was like an ex-Marine, and then there's some other suspicious stuff behind it. So it seems like it might be a federal operation. I ain't gonna lie to you. Which the feds have been known to do, okay? So I don't really react too crazy when I see stuff like that, because they're not going to do nothing, first of all, because if they really hate black people, why aren't they going to where the black people are at? They're just on the street. I don't care. You're not going to do nothing to me. And if they did try to do something to me, guess what? I'm armed, okay? And I will be on the news for slaying some Nazis, okay? But again, the people are not going to do nothing because they're scary. That's why they all be wearing masks and stuff. DeSantis doesn't support that. You know, they're trying to abuse the slavery and the textbook stuff against him, but that stuff was cap. That was all lies that them people were making up. The one thing you probably can hold against them is like the allowing PragerU to be used if they wanted to. I don't agree with that because that's kind of I don't like the way they talk about slavery, and among other things. But that's for another video. I'm supposed to dig into some of their PragerU videos.
Standard. Yeah, Donald Trump supports Black lives by leaps and bounds.
You think Donald Trump says the most popular thing?
Yeah.
Really?
Yes.
Then why do so many people hate him?
He got elected as president.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
He didn't win the popular vote. Neither time.
That's a liberal talking point.
To say.
That's a liberal talking
I'm
point.
helping you here. I'm trying to see the logic in this. Obviously, he says things to be elected as a politician very similarly to how Joe Biden did, except Joe Biden actually has a history of racism.
If he said things that people didn't like, he wouldn't have been our president.
So you like everything that Donald Trump says? You think everything he says is popular?
I love a lot of the things he says. I think he's hilarious. When he said big water, that was one of my favorite quotes. Big water.
Water, big water, ocean water.
He has the funniest one-liners, so I love a lot of the things he says. As far as policy, he sucks, but...
I'm just shocked you're wearing a Hunter Biden hat. He likes a different kind of one line.
Oh, he's...
Wow.
I know, conservatives love talking about his...
No, Coke. It's different. Coke, not Coke.
Trump is less of the issue and more so the people that support him, like Die Hard. They facilitate that kind of like hate, I think, for a lot of people, not just black people.
Okay, Celine.
I mean, this man took out like a full page in a newspaper calling for the public execution of 5 black kids. His hotels, all of his businesses have rampant history of denying black people apartments or whatever. So
I forgot about that. I should not have stepped forward.
Look, I mean, Donald Trump cares about Donald Trump. So I don't think he really cares about anyone, I guess, unless you're like...
He's talking about the New York Central Park 5. 5 black teens that are wrongly accused, right? And sent to prison. As these are little kids, bro. Little kids sent to prison. They actually made a movie. Well, it was a movie series. So it was like 4 or 5 episodes for each guy, and what they went through in prison, how they got there. It's on Netflix. Central Park 5. When They See Us is what it's called. I think Ava DuVernay made it. I think the same lady that made the 13th documentary. Y'all should watch it. Trump did indeed kept pushing that, they need a death penalty. They did it. They didn't do it. But the DA lady was super against them. And it's like they're more conservative convicting somebody than actually finding the person who did it. And they're black teens, so very easy for people to get behind that. It's facts. Sad story. Tough story.
Like super rich or whatever.
When you look at his history on racial issues, whether it's the shithole countries comment, the plethora of comments he made about Mexican people, just the comments he's made about Muslims, the idea that Trump cares at all about some particular racial minority, I think is a little bit silly. I think Trump will say whatever he needs to say to rile up his base and to get elected.
I don't necessarily think those statements come from a place of hatred. I don't think he was ever saying specifically, what
he said about Mexican people crossing the border, he said there was rapists and murderers, which is true. Obviously not all of them, but there are rapists and murderers that are coming through. That's a fact. You know what I'm saying? It's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. maybe they don't like the way he said it, because to them they can make it sound like, oh, he's calling all of them that. But no, people who are trying to illegally enter the country, you know, there's a legal way to do it. You're skipping the line. That's not good. You know, it's not a good thing. Like, nations have borders for a reason. It is what it is.
If you pray 5 times.
Oh, the hotel thing. Yeah, I remember I've seen that before. That's not good.
A day towards the east or towards Mecca, based on wherever you are, you're a bad person. I think he was saying if you like to fly planes into towers or behead people or throw people off of buildings, maybe you're not the most virtuous person out there.
I supported Trump because he made the economy good, and so the economy then impacted black people, white people, Latino people. It impacted everybody. But Trump, he didn't think specifically, I don't think, about black people. He thought about himself, and he thought about, how can I make America great for me, and making and I thought, you know what, I'm gonna go with this guy, and the reason I'm gonna go with this guy is because if he can make America great and he can make that it rise for everybody, I'm gonna benefit from that. So that's why I went, and that's why I voted for him. That's why I supported him.
How does that specifically benefit black people? Again, he's a businessman, but he's also a racist businessman, and like well documented. So like
well documented.
And Biden's not. Biden's not.
Yes, he is. He created the crime bill. So that's regardless of the point.
Address the Central Park 5. That's what you brought up, right? How do you feel about that?
Well,
he took
actually,
that full page out after they were exonerated.
So I haven't.
He wanted them to be killed, executed, just because they were black.
That story.
And he bars people from attending his businesses or like renting apartments from all his like stupid Trump towers. I
think Trump at that point was, like many people in this room, particularly liberals, a victim of the media. I think he was scared. I think he was ashamed of the things that he heard in the news and wanted to take action himself as a businessman, not as a racist.
Why are you infantilizing him?
I don't like, also real quick, because people
infantilizing. He does bring up a good point. Well, it's his mindset in that point in time. Because, yeah, you know, if you see something in the news, the media, because I'm pretty sure the news media kept painting it like they did it, like they were the ones who did it. But yeah, I don't agree with that. I think it's bad. I don't know if Trump ever said anything after they were exonerated. I know that the DA lady refused to say anything. Refused to this day, refused. But I don't know about Trump. I don't remember if it said anything about that. I need to look. But yeah, you know, that's foul. It's foul. It is foul.
Keep bringing up this comparison to the 93 crime bill from Biden. That crime bill, this was at the height of like violent crime and the crack epidemic in the United States. The Congressional Black Caucus.
That's true. They want that too. A lot of black people supported the crime bill.
Supported that crime bill. Everybody in the United States supported that crime bill. The idea that crime bill was like some racist piece of legislation that Biden was just wheeling out because he hates black people, and that's somehow comparable to the Donald Trump's treatment of the Central Park 5 that were already exonerated. That wasn't a victim of the media. The media said they were done. They were exonerated in court. They weren't there.
As I understand it, the prosecutor of the 5, he was a black guy, and so in being a black guy, he went and he looked at all the evidence and said these guys are guilty.
Black people can also be racist against other black people.
Or just make mistakes.
So, yeah, that doesn't mean it's racist.
If anybody does anything you disagree with in regards to the Central Park 5, even if they themselves are a black person, then they're just a self-loathing black person. They're just a racist black person.
If they disagree with me, they're racist.
That prosecutor was doing his job.
That's my policy. If they disagree with me, they're racist.
I like that.
I think Trump has shown a history of ignorant at best and racist at worst behavior. I didn't vote for him or Hillary because I just don't see him as a conservative hero. I don't even think he's a conservative.
Fake
personally.
Conservative. I voted Trump in 2016, just so you all know. So I'm just saying.
So I need you to elaborate on if people disagree with you, they're racist, just in general.
I was just kidding.
He's just, yeah.
You never know.
Just like
one
the
of those
hat.
kind of moments.
Sorry if I triggered you. I'm sorry.
You made a point. You made a point
Okay.
a couple of minutes back where you said he just kind of says these things to rile up his base. Why does he need to do that at the expense of black people then?
He doesn't do that at the. I am a member of his base, and I'm sitting there like, oh man, this is amazing. And I don't know. You can call me self-loathing. You can call me self-hating.
So you're saying calling for the public
stupid.
execution of 5 black men that were
He didn't say that. What the fuck? He didn't say that shit during when he was president. Are you stupid?
Exonerated to
when
rile
has he
up
done
his
that
base.
during the campaign trail? He didn't do that when he was a politician.
Well,
he did that when
again,
he was a scared businessman in New York.
It's everything Steve said about the comments about Muslims, the comments about Mexican immigrants. Why does
never about Mexican immigrants, never about Muslims, about terrorists and about criminals and rapists. These are very important delineations to make. And if you believe that
think
what
you
fed the media
understand,
about,
or
it's all
I think
Mexican immigrants, I think it's more of you being, oh man, these poor Mexicans, they need to be supported. It's more of that savior complex. Wow,
what was
we're
the
back
rationale
again.
behind axing or trying to axe DACA? These people were registered with the federal government, they were in school, they were doing everything that they needed to do. They had no home elsewhere. They were brought into this country as minors. Like, what's the explanation for that?
I think that requires more nuance. Like I mentioned before, I think there were some
for their
people.
education.
I think
Why
there
would
were
you
some
wanna kick
people
them out?
feeding him bad policy advice, thinking, "Oh, this will be really good for your base," and he's doing a lot as a
just
president.
That's okay. That's okay if we feel that way. But
So,
at the end of the
if I take responsibility for something, if I say he has responsibility for something, well then you're right. But if I'm saying, well, maybe there are some people around him advising him falsely,
Dude,
it's infantilizing.
He was the president.
There's no good way.
He
to do
called the
this for him.
shots.
But if someone
What are you talking about?
Presidents don't call the shots. I'm not gonna lie to you. There's a lot of people that are in DC. There's a lot of people that are in the government that are there longer than presidents. You know what I'm saying? Presidents are just like, they're just visitors, okay? They're just temporary tenants. There are people there, especially those advisors, that are there throughout multiple presidencies, okay? So, I don't think they really talk about it, but and maybe I don't have all the facts to back it up. Maybe I could look some things up to reinforce what I'm saying, but presidents don't have all the power that this guy's trying to make it seem like they do. That's a fact.
The only path forward to solving illegal immigration starts with amnesty for everybody here. The reality is there's some 10 to 15 million illegal immigrants here. We're not deporting them all.
With the people who are already here, that's a lot more of a messy, nuanced conversation. But as far as people coming in, I do think we need stronger borders and actual vetting happening.
And I just want to say, in Ronald Reagan's day, he was given the promise. He said, look, if you go ahead and you pass this particular bill, we'll give these people amnesty and we're done. And it didn't happen. We didn't. Illegal immigration continued even after Reagan already said we will give these people amnesty. So that's why we get a burr up our butt, because he had already done it.
Hopefully the devil's giving him amnesty.
True.
That's terrible.
No, that's base. Thank you.
Tasteless.
Wow.
Ninth circle, baby.
My political beliefs have changed
I already felt Ronald Reagan, so I don't really care.
from the past.
Okay. Oh, everybody, okay.
I grew up in a conservative household, actually, in Ohio.
I kind of want to look at the comments real quick. Hold on. Would love to see a gay conservatives versus straight liberals. Alex's lack of self-awareness is insane. Him saying I used to be so annoying cringe, now I've gotten better. Never want to leave respond heavy. Oh, I didn't get that. Okay, let me not read the comments. Hold on.
My parents were always pretty political, so I always stayed political. I was very religious as a teenager. Sometime during college and then afterwards, especially during COVID, my sister actually indoctrinated me into a more leftist position, and I overcorrected a little.
His sister. Okay. Makes sense.
A little bit. I started becoming pretty cringy as far as sit down and let the minorities all talk, right? Don't say anything, don't speak over them, etc. They would, it was like the whole you can't speak over Candace Owens even if she's literally a Nazi kind of thing. So I stand by that. So I kind of leveled out, thankfully, and I'm less cringe now.
Did you? Are you?
I cringed.
Yeah.
This is leveled out. Imagine if we would have been here a year ago.
I mean, maybe I am being cringe. Who cares?
Damn, ain't nobody on this side, boy. That's what that comment was talking about. That's funny. Let me like that. It felt like Alec went out of his way to make sure he was in the circle as soon as possible. Whether he agreed or not, he would be like, well, I agree, ironically almost. He also gave off the I'm better than all of you, so the educated and room vibe. Alec is insufferable, including his own mind, a hero that should be praised and lauded. Alec totally ruined any chance of a decent conversation. Damn. So I wonder if he gets worse. Okay, let's keep watching.
So I grew up conservative, but I did have more left-leaning ideas about Black Lives Matter and critical race theory, and I was watching a lot of YouTube, and I did agree that Black people were oppressed and all of these different things, and that we were kind of got the short end of the stick. And during 2020, when there was everything crazy was happening, and I started organizing rallies against the mandates because I thought that they were just totally unconstitutional and un-American. And then George Floyd dies. And initially I was enraged like everybody else. And then it started to become this weird, like,
political thing.
Political, like, agenda masquerading or behind his face. Like, it just, the face of what was actually happening started to peel off. And I was like, oh, I mean, I would counter-protest BLM activists at my town square when I lived in Texas. And they were some of the most just bitter, vile, horrible people you could ever meet. Meanwhile, like, the Confederate group that would protest there against them also, they were like the nicest people ever to me, ironically.
I grew up in a Democratic, not a Democratic household, but kind of apolitical, but everybody was Democrat. And then I got a job. And when I got a job and I saw all the taxes come out and I started looking to the left and to the right and going, oh, my money's whittling away over here. And I said, you know what? After Reagan, I'm just going to go ahead and declare myself a Republican. And I've been a Republican ever since.
My mom is pretty liberal. She married my stepdad when I was like 15, 16 in high school, and he's super conservative, like loved Trump, diehard Trump fan.
Those are when they split up.
They had a lot of like back and forth, hearing the two sides, like people who are on such polar opposites just like argue all the time about stuff. Seeing that there's a lot of similarities in both sides, like the far radical left and the far radical right, they have a lot of similarities. They just don't want to come and like see it.
I started off
yeah, because it's people, bro. It's human beings, bro. When people believe in something so strongly that they don't even question it, you know, you see the same type of character traits that come out. It's facts.
Actually, kind of similar to you. I went to a Jesuit high school. I grew up very conservative. My mom is Cuban, so ride or die Bush supporter, who is now a ride or die Trump supporter. I think the point of my life when I was the most like libertarian was probably the lowest point of my life financially. And I think
why did they put that sound effect
really well is they make you feel like you can always like succeed as long as you work hard enough. And that's something that progressives and liberals suck at. That you're a victim of systemic racism. You're black, so you're going to be discriminated against. You're a woman, so nobody's going to care about your feelings, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Whereas Republicans will tell you, listen, if you work hard, you can do whatever you want, like just as long as you're willing to put in the work. And I felt that way up to the moment where I was losing my house, where I had an ex-girlfriend that was pregnant, where I had been fired from my previous job. There was a whole bunch of horrible stuff going on in my life, and I very, very luckily got into online content creation. And from there, as I started to make more money, I started to pay more taxes. When I get older and I look at taxes that come out of my paycheck, I care a little bit, but it was just so funny to me that back when I was making $15,000, $20,000 a year, I'm like, I gotta vote for the lower tax bracket, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm barely paying any taxes anyways. And now that I'm older, like if the government wants to take, a few, 10, 20, whatever, how many more $1,000 out.
You just said you worked hard.
I did, but I got very, very, very lucky doing so. Very lucky.
Do you think it's just luck?
It's not just luck, but the difference is that born into a wealthier family, you can make so many more mistakes in life. And when you're born poor, you get like one or two before your life is over. And that's really sad to me.
Yeah, so I used to be a liberal. I voted for Bernie Sanders in 2016, as much as I regret that now. My family was pretty left-wing. Some of the people in my family were like radically left, like would refer to white people as blue-eyed, red-headed devils, things of that nature. And as I got older, I actually started being really
Yo! What? Yo, the editor is funny. They cut to them too. Let me look at that again.
Red-headed devils, things of that nature. And as I got older, I actually started being really outspoken for BLM. I was supposed to be on a reality show teaching people how to be a BLM activist. At the time, I did a deep dive on BLM, and I started to realize all of these lies. So
he kind of does look familiar.
Step back, I'm like, okay, what else am I being lied to about? And I started looking at the Democratic Party and questioning my own loyalty to being on the left.
I personally think both sides tend to be racist in different ways. I don't think the government is on the side of the people in general, and that's just me being, a radical.
When I was young, I used to jump for joy and say, oh yeah, Obama, black president, that's so amazing. He's the same color as me. But when I started to do more research, one of the biggest things I was confused about is, well, why is he a Democrat? What is a Democrat? I did more research about the Democrat Party, and sure, you guys are going to pop off about the head saying, oh, there's a party switch in the Southern strategy and all these things.
Which is true.
Which you may say is true. I don't believe it is true at all. I understand, you may think I'm wrong.
You are.
However, one of the biggest questions I had was, why is Obama in the same party as the people that started the KKK, the same people that voted against the Civil Rights Act?
Well, so I was actually reading about the party switch a couple weeks ago because I had to refresh my memory on it. It's a lot of nuance. So pretty much what it came down to, Republicans are more, for the people, anti-big government, yada yada yada, and Democrats were more for the monarchy, right? They're more for that. So Republicans were very anti-slavery, Democrats were pro-slavery, shit like that. Something along the line switched once what was it? Something about money was involved. Money was involved. People started getting more money. I think it was Republicans started getting more money, and they started looking out for more other people with money more than people without the money. And then something changed with the Democrats where they decided to look out more for black people and look out more for, you know, minorities and shit like that. That's a very, you know, stripped down version of it. I gotta reread it again because it's nuanced. It's not like something easy that you can just, you know, say in one sentence. There's a lot more to it.
The same people that are on the news talking about how black people aren't able to accomplish anything and need to be on welfare and need to be promoted with affirmative action and things of that nature.
I also, in terms of, I guess, of my political journey, I was raised conservative, actually. And then high school became, I guess, sort of apolitical. And then throughout college and I guess just throughout my life since then, I guess you can call me a progressive, you can call me, you know, socialist, whatever you, but I guess that's, in the area of where I fall. You said that you were a Bernie fan in 2016 and then you transitioned to being, I guess, more conservative. I guess, I don't know, to me, Bernie Sanders, from what he said to what you think now, what was the shift?
For me, it was socialism, because back then I was a very broke college kid, and I just had this mentality that everything should be free, and I was feeling a bit entitled, like everything should be handed to me because I was black. I was very much in that mentality. As I learned more about free markets, as I learned more about capitalism, I started to appreciate that much more. I started to appreciate small business much more, limited government, low regulations. I just started to like that much more. But I would say just more when it comes to economics, I don't agree with him.
Reparations are necessary.
Oh, let's see. Oh, of course, them two.
When we talk about reparations, I think that doing reparations in the way that a lot of people think of it, where we just give it to black people, I'm not an expert on this, but I think it would be more income-based, and that in itself, like I said earlier, would disproportionately benefit black people, because if you recognize that they are disproportionately affected by a systemic injustice.
I think another thing too is that people think that, like, I don't know if, like, look at any country in the world. Is there, like, equality? Like, I can't imagine anyone actually being, like, perfectly equal. You know what I mean? Like, the most you could do is try to make the disparities smaller. Yeah. But there's always going to be poor people and there's always going to be rich people. Because that's just how shit works. There's always someone with more and there's always someone with less. That's where the socialism comes in, where these people like him, I guess, or the other dude, they want everybody to have the same. No hierarchy, no one's more or less than the other. But that's not realistic. That's not practical. Okay? So it just feels like a pipe dream, right? Just like a lot of feminists, raging feminists wanted to create a matriarchy. It's a pipe dream, okay? This shit is not happening.
Then doing it on like a class level would uplift proportionally more black people than white people or any other race.
Yeah, I think like mostly like black GIs that were left out of like the New Deal, for instance, that to be able to come back and as a white American, as a white veteran, to get a home loan and then build that generational wealth, you could not get that as a black American. So there needs to be, I think, reparations. I don't care really what form it comes from. I think free healthcare, free college, so that everyone has like an equal opportunity to educate themselves, to build a better life for themselves. So it's sort of like, and I think Germany is also a perfect model to follow. You know, by issuing, first of all, a formal apology, which we haven't even done that. But also just like donating to like different funds, and you know, just I think a more equitable society striving for that is reparations in and of itself.
Didn't they apologize for Jim Crow? I don't remember.
I have no problems with reparations if they had happened initially during the like slavery or the civil rights movement or any of that. But to try and do that now logistically, it just doesn't really make any sense. And like, where would this money come from? Like, we're in so much debt as a nation. Would I get this money? I'm biracial or triracial. Like, do mixed people get it? And like, do Irish people get reparations when they were indentured servants?
I think for reparations, if you can find specific instances of somebody being like actually deprived of something, whether specific instances of like the 40 acres and a meal promise, or whether you can find specific cases of like Chinese people building railroads or Irish people or whatever, people being deprived of things, that's okay. But otherwise, yeah, it's a logistical nightmare.
Yeah.
There's no possible way that we'd be able to do it well.
Yeah, America's unique because we have bent over backwards for decades now, putting minorities in a position of privilege. I feel like we have done so much to give back to the communities that were obviously wronged. And I agree with both of you. Like, had this happened a long time ago, I would understand it. If we had specific incidences that we could trace where people were just completely screwed over, I would respect it. But right now, I don't deserve a payment for something my great-great-great-great-grandparents went through, and I don't think that white people are responsible for paying that to me either.
I know we don't want to use the word virtue signaling, but it's sort of like a bribe for a vote in a way, at least in my opinion. In states like California, where they've been throwing around the idea of, oh, we want to pay out this much money to every black citizen in there, in this state, it's like, oh, are you serious? Because this is kind of like a joke, in my opinion.
It does feel like a bribe.
If we impose reparations now, I think it would rip America apart. I think that we're already separated enough as it is, and now you're going to have people walking around going, you owe me money, you owe me money. I'm not paying you any money.
All right, we're going to take a quick break.
It would just really rip us apart.
Giving somebody money doesn't mean anything if they don't know what to do with the money or how to handle the money. So if the primary issue in black culture or with black people is generational trauma, then maybe they need more therapy than they need money, honestly.
Which conservatives are also against.
Well, that's kind of my argument. Like, if
since when are conservatives against therapy?
Like
yeah,
that,
I don't know what this dude talking about, bro. He's just saying shit.
Generational trauma or whatever. Like, I think examples of like free healthcare, they could see a therapist and not be, fall into debt. And I think the argument of like the logistical nightmares of it, I think if we want to pay for something in this country, we usually find a way to do it, especially when it comes to the military. So
okay, so he don't know how. He's just saying find a way. Find a way to make it free. Find a way for somebody to pay for it.
I mean, we pay for multi-billion-dollar jets all
the
the time.
dollars, it's who's supposed to get them.
Not to attack progressives, but that is like the most progressive idea in the world. Is like, I can see the headlines like reparations voted on in Congress to be paid in the form of free therapy for people in the hood. That just sounds like the funniest thing in the world. But
well, I also don't think it's going to come directly from like, white person to black person. Like, oh, your lineage affected his lineage.
It is, though. Like in San Francisco, they were going to raise the average family, or the average household in San Francisco was expected to pay $600,000 each with the $5 million per black person proposal that they had. And I used to live in the San Francisco Bay Area, and I was repulsed by that because you have so many homeless veterans on the streets, and they were going to give black people a home for as little as $1 just for being black. Mind you, slavery wasn't even in California. So why that was going to be the case, like, I don't understand, but it's extremely unrealistic to think that the average family in San Francisco can afford that.
That's because Newsom wants to get reelected.
Okay, but you don't really care about homeless veterans, right?
That's just
you
a
don't support.
idea.
You don't know
I feel
me.
like all your arguments are ad hominem.
But you're
literally
here as a
every single one ad hominem.
You're here as a conservative. So what policies do you support for homeless veterans?
There's ways to address,
specifically
for homeless in general.
That's a whole different conversation.
Yeah.
Okay, let's say that we didn't find a middle ground in there.
Yeah.
All right.
But that's a great ending note.
Why they cut it off? Why they stop it?
Savior complex.
Okay, they said yes. Yes, they do. Okay. Yeah, I agree. The motherfuckers like they know better. Listen to me. Listen to me, nigger. I know what's best for you. I'm coming to save you. I'm the white liberal. Listen to me. That's how they sound. Alec gives a little bit some of those vibes, bro. Well, I know what's best for you. I know everything, and you know nothing. You're stupid, dumb, and evil, and a Nazi. He called Candace Owens a Nazi. Like, that's crazy. That's crazy, right? But you see, and that's gonna tie into the Vivek video we're gonna do later. You see how he's so quick to call Candace Owens a Nazi because she's a black conservative woman, right? Comparing them to Nazis who killed people, gassed people, enslaved people, murdered people, tortured people, raped people, ripped people from their homes. But when Vivek calls Ayanna Presley, I think that's her name, Ayanna Presley and Abram X whatever, the modern KKK because of their rhetoric, their racist rhetoric. Oh, suddenly he's a bad guy. He's evil. He's bad. So when all these people call Trump and conservatives Nazis and KKK members, it's okay. It's perfectly fine. They're comparing them to people who actually go out and kill people for preconceived or misconceived notions, right? But then when someone does it because something they actually said, actually in line, okay, what they say? The answer to past discrimination is present discrimination, and the answer to present discrimination is future discrimination. What are you talking about? We don't want any black faces that aren't going to be a black voice. What are you talking about? So because I'm black and I don't agree with you, I'm not a black voice. Who's to say what's a black voice and what's not? Why is it you? Why are you telling me what I can and can't say based off my skin color? Shut up. Like, I wish somebody would say that shit to me, because I'll slap them. I don't give a fuck, because that's crazy that you would fix your mouth to say that shit to me. But it's just like the KKK and the racist people. Oh, you're black, shut up. You're black, shut up. You're black, shut up. I'm not going for it.
To say this is a shock. I never expected all four of you to just come forward and admit it, but you know what? I'm happy with these results.
I'm surprised that girl didn't come sit down.
I think it's a lot of people, I guess, people, of the left, whatever, can kind of fall into that trap of thinking that, black people as a monolith need to be saved as a whole.
I have no shame about it. I have a savior complex as an older brother, and I will save you whether you like it or not. So that's just me.
Well, it's definitely not, because a lot of us are really just exhausted of being viewed as our skin color. Because when you
that guy's annoying. Like, he's trying to be funny, but it's not working.
Have this mindset that you need to save black people, and we're just sitting here minding our own business and living our lives the way we want to. I don't know why it is that people feel this immense pressure to be so apologetic and just always trying to cater and coddle to black people when we just want to be treated like everybody else. We're equal for a reason.
I think especially recently with a lot of riot stuff that's gone on or protest stuff that's gone on, people on the left tend to infantilize a lot of different types of protesters, and especially even talking to some of the other black content creators I do content with, when you hear a lot of progressives come out and say, well, they don't have a choice but to riot or break into the store, or, well, they're stealing, these electronics.
They're stealing food, and they're stealing food because they can't afford it. They can't afford it for their families. They're trying to feed their families. Bitch, what the fuck is a TV gonna do for you, okay?
Is for good reasons, you just don't realize it.
And designer clothes.
I think a lot of people kind of look both ways, and it's a little bit weird that there's such a complex on the left to excuse every single possible negative behavior from somebody, as long as they're a skin color that you're kind of in charge of protecting.
I find that very offensive.
Yeah.
I find it
really
extremely, it upsets me to hear that, because we're just like you. We just have a different skin color. And to hear that you have to help me is offensive to me. I can do it on my own.
Well, we have to break down sometimes why these riots happen. MLK once said that riots are the voice of the unheard. If you are to address the problem and stop the riots, you have to address the underlying inequality that has historically been pervasive. Even if you as individual people are doing fine and you don't want anybody else to get in the way of that, that's cool, and I'm not going to be the one to get in the way. But the disparities are undeniable.
So if you take pride in having a white savior complex, what is it that you think that you're doing to save black people, and what is it that you think that you're saving black people from?
I am trying to make the world a better place through whatever means I can.
But you're doing it on the backs of us. I
wouldn't say so.
Yeah, I actually do. I feel like you want to be a savior and you're using me to make yourself feel good. That's what I'm hearing.
How am I hurting you?
You're not letting me have my own voice. You're not letting me speak.
How? You're speaking now?
No.
You're cutting her off.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like I have to.
Yeah. Well, what's happening? I mean, you're speaking right now.
Oh my gosh! Get him out of here! What the fuck?
Speaking.
Well, I feel like I have to.
Yeah. Well, what's happening? I mean, you're speaking right now. You're speaking right now in this particular setting. Mm-hmm. But what you're saying is, you took it back to riots and so forth, and it makes it seem like the only way that we as black people can have a voice is by riots, and then you need to come along and you need to say, okay, poor little black child, let me help you. That's offensive to me, and I feel like you're making yourself feel good about trying to help us, and
I also think that, like, when we talk about damage, I think especially when it comes to a lot of the shoplifting stuff that's going on in certain cities, you get a lot of white people that live in nice suburbs saying things like shoplifting is no big deal, that's fine, and then you'll catch YouTube videos of them later on being in a Walgreens in like a shoddy neighborhood, and they're like, man, why is the deodorant behind a locked case? It's very easy to sit behind a gated community and say, oh, well, you know, it's not a big deal.
Or sit behind a screen.
They steal because they have to. Riots are the language of the unheard. I think people haven't read the full context of that quote. When MLK was saying riots were the language of the unheard and you need to address the underlying condition, he wasn't condoning the rioting. He was just understanding it.
Obviously, there are a bunch of white people that feel they need to be a savior, but I think there's a difference between helping and saving. Like, I don't think I would need to save black people, but I would tremendously love to help and make sure everyone has, like,
but it's like, yo, why you think you can help me, bro? Help me with what? Huh? You gonna help me get some money, nigga? Like, what you gonna help me with? Shut up. Get out my face.
Or not equal outcome, but at least equal opportunity, which, in my opinion, I feel we do not have in this country.
This is awkward. Hi, guys. So I didn't step forward just because I don't want to broad brush all white liberals as having a white savior complex. I have experienced white liberals who do have that, and they're very unpleasant people, but I don't think every single
Why did they cut to him again? They don't like him.
person who's a liberal or who is an activist for BLM or any of those things necessarily has a white savior complex. I think that there's a lot of white people who genuinely think that black people are oppressed and they want to help, and that's what they're told.
What it seems like to me, when most people have savior complex, regardless of whom they're trying to save, it's like they're taking real pain and real trauma and using that as a way to push this political agenda, but also to alleviate themselves of whatever guilt that they feel unnecessarily. Like, I don't know why a white person today would feel guilty for things that happened decades ago, let alone something that happened centuries ago.
I've never seen a white person say, I personally feel guilty for slavery. Maybe they're out there, but I've never heard that.
It's real. And a lot of times it's not in what they say, it's how they say what they say. They're not going to say, oh, I'm so guilty, I feel guilty. Because people don't talk like that, okay? It's going to come off more as, you know, white people have done a lot of things to you. You know what I mean? Like, white people have done a lot of things to your people. You know, I just want to make sure that, you know, everything's equitable. You know, I got to make sure, you know, it's my responsibility. Silence is violence. I have to help. That's how it comes off as. Not as, oh, I'm so guilty for what people did. That wasn't me. Come on, be for real.
In second grade, when they taught us about slavery, almost every kid in my classroom would spend their entire time looking at black kids in that classroom. Whoa. How was I supposed to not think, wow, these people are feeling guilty for something that they have no involvement in and I have no involvement in?
Every kid in my classroom understood the context.
People hate feeling uncomfortable, and obviously you don't want to feel like the bad guy, and so I feel like it comes from a place of like, oh, well, like, let me make sure that I'm different and like I'm showing you that I want to like help you, but it comes across like I think it can land very poorly.
I'll tell you what, stop it. Stop it. Because what happens is when you put yourself as the white savior, what you do is you elevate yourself above the black person because you feel then like you have to save us. So just stop it. Just treat everybody.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Regular and normal, just like I would treat you regular normal, you treat us regular normal rather than trying to save us.
Normal. I just got one thing I wanted to bring up earlier about taxes.
Oh my
because you were saying that you don't. You had your job and you were talking about how like you get the tax every time and you're like seeing your tax go up. I worked in nursing homes in 2020 COVID. The last thing that was on my mind when I watched 60 and 70-year-olds on their deathbeds suffocating to death was taxes. I was worried about healthcare. I didn't give a shit about taxes in that time. So when I go to work every day, that's what I see.
Like he's trying to be dramatic and make it seem like you motherfuckers care what he's talking about. Shut up. I didn't care about taxes. Okay, good for you, brokey. If you want to be broke, go ahead. That's all you. You can be broke if you want to. What the fuck? Oh my gosh, you're watching old people die. Well, they fucking old. If old people die. Newsflash. Oh my god, you're in a nursing home where old people on their deathbeds. Duh, it's a nursing home. That's where they go. That's where they go. What the fuck? Oh, I worked at a cemetery, and I see all these funerals, and the last thing I was thinking about was taxes of people burying their loved ones. I mean, yeah, you're at a funeral home. You're at a cemetery. That's what happens. Duh. Shut up.
That's what I want to fix.
I see you once again elevating yourself.
Boy, that boy thought he was so hard with that, boy. That's what I want to fix. And I'm just like, bruh, if I was making this video, I would have put some cricket sounds, boy. What the fuck?
The last thing that was on my mind when I watched 60 and 70-year-olds on their deathbeds suffocate to death was taxes. I was worried about healthcare. I didn't give a shit about taxes in that time. So when I go to work every day, that's what I see. That's what I want to fix.
Himself above the rest of us, and particularly at me, a white man elevating himself above a black person.
He called me a bootlicker.
He
called me a bootlicker.
Oh no, I triggered them all. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm chilling, buddy.
So what I hope comes out of this conversation is that we're all Americans.
Okay, so I didn't watch this video. Before I watched it today, actually, I clicked the video of Destiny talking about, I guess, post the debate or whatever, the video they made, this video. And I actually looked, I didn't watch it all though. I just watched like the first, I watched the intro. And I'm like, I'm going to react to this. Let me not spoil myself. But one of the comments said that it seemed like, okay, this guy called Xavier a bootlicker off screen. Right? Because look what he said just now. You call me a bootlicker, you call me a bootlicker. They cut that out. Because we didn't hear, the only time we heard bootlicker before this was, actually no, we didn't hear it at all. No, we heard it earlier. Xavier said it earlier. Yeah.
I'm chilling, buddy.
So what I hope comes out of this conversation is that we're all Americans, and because we're all Americans, we know that America has a bunch of problems, and I think every person here wants to solve the problems, and I think everybody is bringing what they have to the table with their ideas on how to get us to unify. This kind of stuff, right? But you got something in there. Hopefully, I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt that you have something in there that's redeeming about you that would bring all of Americans together. So I hope that we end on the note of America.
UNITY.
I would like to say we're all made in the image of God, and so we're all have our inerrant worth just because we're made in His image, and we should treat each other as fellow image bearers, not just by the color of our skin. I mean, as Martin Luther King said.
He also did not like capitalism.
I think something that's really
Shut the fuck up! Oh my gosh, bro! I'm glad I wasn't there because I would have cussed him out.
I've definitely been guilty in the past of throwing around the Uncle Tom word. I used to be hardcore progressive. I'm still relatively progressive. But something that I've learned as time has gone on is being a white person isolates you from a lot of the different types of racial struggles that people go through. And those struggles can take a lot of different forms. Not just, was my ancestor a slave, and not just is my culture bad, but sometimes in the way that people
look
grow
at
and
you.
Develop, right? Like, am I actually choosing these political beliefs because they mean something to me, or is it because I'm black or my parents are black? If I speak a certain way, am I betraying my race? If I am a political orientation, am I a bootlicker? And I think that it's important when you're coming from a progressive point of view to understand that even though there are conservatives that are black people, you have to treat them as individuals and not just come at it with this like, you're black, you're a conservative, therefore here's like 6 or 7 different slurs that I can use against you, but they're approved because I happen to be on the progressive side.
Yeah, he's right. He's right. That's one thing with Destiny. Even though I don't think I agree with Destiny with everything. That looks interesting. But when it comes to making sense and like just coming from a middle perspective, he does make sense. I'll give him that. Like he makes sense. And I respect that. He can be honest. Like that's being honest. Opposite of what the Alec guy was doing, thinking he knows best and being sarcastic and weird and act like an internet person. Like, bro, leave that internet shit on the internet. Don't bring that shit to real life. You're being weird. Okay? That's why other people liked him. And I think the editing probably made it a little better. They made it a little better. It seemed like, because towards the end, it seemed like they liked them a little less than what they actually showed, bruh. Part of me hopes that Alex sees his behavior on camera, cringes, and changes. However, I think it's more realistic that he'll think of himself as the victim of the video, a badass, and a savior. Sad. It's easier for a priest to convince an atheist than a black conservative to convince a white liberal. That's funny. That's funny. But hey, man, that was the video. That's everything. Let me know what y'all think down below. Black conservatives versus white liberals. I thought it was pretty funny. I think Jubilee did a good job. They probably seen that. They probably want to tone down their own bias because they seen how Alec was acting. Okay, it probably made some of them look at themselves like, oh shit, ugh. Yikes. Ugh. Is this how we come off the people sometimes? Ugh. But like I said earlier, Jubilee is pretty good and pretty fair from what I've seen. I don't watch every one of their videos, but they're decent. Everybody has their own bias. It's okay. It's life. But yeah, man. I'm really tired. Whatever I'm sick with, it's whew. But hey, appreciate y'all for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share. Hit the notification bell down below. Peace out.